Good evening and welcome to the June 12th, 2025 meeting of the Dry Creek Joint Elementary School District Board of Trustees. Let the record show that all Board of Trustees are present tonight. Do we have any comments on the closed agenda items?
We have none.
Hearing none, we will adjourn to closed session. Good evening and welcome to the June 12th, 2025 meeting of the Dry Creek Joint Elementary School District Board of Trustees. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have a couple items to report from closed session. The Board of Trustees voted 5-0 to deny the inter-district appeal of student number 2024-3. In closed session, the board voted to appoint Cliff DeGraw as our new superintendent. The vote was Jean, aye, Jason, aye, Ryan, aye, Tracy abstained, she was absent during the full process of this, and John, aye. And moving on to the consent agenda. Would any trustees like to appoint or to pull any item from the consent agenda for further discussion? Hearing none? Oh, any public comments? You know, I made a mistake before the consent agenda. Any public comments on items not on the agenda?
We have none.
We have three?
We have none.
We have none? Hearing none? My grade's going down.
None, three, sounds about the same.
I gave you hope when you're going the other direction.
Okay, yeah, anyway, on the consent agenda, would any trustees like to pull any items from the consent agenda? Hearing none?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda. I'll second.
Motion by Jason, second by Ryan, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0 on the consent agenda. Now we're moving on to item 6.1, approval of employment agreement for the superintendent. At this point, I'm going to read the key points of the agreement that we came to. Will be followed by by public comments and then board discussion. This is the employment agreement for Superintendent Cliff DeGraw. Before we can take action on the proposed contract, I have to provide the following verbal summary of the compensation and benefit terms of the proposed contract. The employment agreement would be in effect from July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2028. The superintendent's base salary will be $272,000 annually, paid in 12 monthly installments with a work year of 225 days. The superintendent will receive a master's degree stipend of $1,000 per year. The superintendent will receive a life insurance policy in the amount of $100,000 payable to superintendent's designated beneficiaries. The superintendent will receive an automobile allowance of $500 per month. The superintendent will be provided an amount equal to 3% of his annual base salary to use for disability insurance, income protection insurance, long-term health insurance, a health safety account, or a tax sheltered annuity at his selection. The superintendent will not receive paid vacation or holidays. Sick leave will accrue at a rate of 1 day per month. The superintendent will receive all health and insurance benefits that are provided to district certified staff, certificated staff, and or management personnel. The district will pay superintendent's annual membership dues in the Association of California School Administrators and other organizations approved by the board in support of his duties. The district will also pay for the superintendent's participation in the ACSA New Superintendent Seminar Series. If the superintendent is unilaterally terminated without cause during this agreement, he would receive the amount remaining on the agreement not to exceed 9 months of pay. This concludes the summary of the employment agreement. A copy of this proposed employment agreement is available with Stephanie. We will now discuss and take comment on possible approval of the agreement. Okay, are there any public comments?
There are no public comment.
Hearing no public comments, any discussion from the board?
None for me.
Nothing? Okay, I'd like to say a few words about Cliff DeGraw. He received a bachelor's in Spanish from Brigham Young University and a master's in educational administration from Chapman University. He taught high school Spanish for 7 years. He then served as a vice principal at Pioneer High School in Woodland for 4 years. In 2011, he was appointed as principal of Will Wood High School in Vacaville. In 2016, he was appointed assistant superintendent of educational services for the Petaluma City School District. In 2021, he was appointed as assistant superintendent of personnel services for Western Placer Unified School District in Lincoln, where he has worked for the past 4 years. Western Placer is a TK through 12 district consisting of 14 schools and 8,000 students. At Western Placer, Cliff successfully negotiated a 3-year collective bargaining agreements and tentative agreements with both certificated and classified employee labor unions. A few more of the many notable achievements in his career. Number one, he consistently improved student achievement, graduation rates, STEM pathway offerings, enrollment in AP courses, attendance rates, and parent involvement in the schools he worked at. He was a founding member of the Friends of Vacaville Schools, a nonprofit group of district and community leaders, staff, students, and parents. He planned, developed, and implemented the Positive Behavior Intervention and Supports Framework, PBIS, to educate, promote, and reward student behavior. And he coached freshman, JV, and varsity basketball. And I think a very notable achievement that he wasn't listed on his resume is in October 2017, Cliff and his family lost their home in the tragic Sonoma County fires. They escaped unharmed with just the clothes on their backs and slowly had to build their life back together with the help of family, friends, and their church. Overview on the superintendent search. Our superintendent search consisted of reviewing 15 applications, followed by in-person interviews of the final 3 by a 9-member advisory committee and the board of trustees. One candidate, Cliff DeGraw, clearly stood out to both the committees and the board. In his application, Cliff wrote, "One of my most important strengths is the ability to develop positive and meaningful relationships with students, staff, parents, the board, and the community. I have a reputation for being honest, ethical, funny, a great communicator and listener, fair and collaborative in my relationships with others. These relationships are the foundation that has enabled me to lead staff on multiple occasions and successful efforts to make meaningful change." And with that, I make a motion to approve the contract to hire Cliff DeGraw as the next superintendent of the Dry Creek Joint Elementary School District.
Second.
Motion by John, second by Jason. And this is an aye vote, right? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? We have one abstention. Would you like to say anything?
I just, I was out for the month of part of May and June, and so was not a part of any of the process, reviewing the applicants, interviewing the applicants, meeting with my colleagues or the community members. So I think in order to be completely transparent to the public, I'm gonna abstain. It has nothing to do with the person who's been selected, my colleagues, or the process. I just think it's the worthy thing to do because I was not a part of the process. So I wanted to explain that to the public and the community.
Great, thank you, Tracy. And let's welcome our new superintendent, Cliff DeGraw. Welcome. Welcome, glad you're here. Thanks, Cliff. At this time, I'd like to take a 10-minute recess to give Cliff an opportunity to say hello to everybody. And so we're gonna break till 6:50. And welcome back. We're reconvening our June 12th meeting of the Dry Creek Board of Trustees. Our next item is 6.2, the approval of employment agreement addendums for the Assistant Superintendent of Administrative Services and the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services. This is submitted by me. The board considers it, that's when the board considers extending term length of the employment agreements for an Assistant Superintendent of Administrative Services.
Microphone.
Oh. So this is item 6.2, approval of employment agreement addendums for the Assistant Superintendent of Administrative Services and Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services. Are there any comments on this item?
No.
Hearing no comments, this is in summary, upon approval, the employment agreements shall be extended by an additional year and take effect on July 1st, 2025 with no other changes to terms and conditions. Any questions, deliberation from the board? Hearing none. I'll make a motion to approve the extension of employment.
I'll second.
Motion by John, second by Jean. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next, we have item 6.3, the approval of joint community facilities agreement to enable developer financing of school facilities in connection with Anthem SS Ranch Homes. Jim Ferguson.
Yes, thank you. Back in January, the Board of Trustees approved the mitigation agreement between the district and Anthem SS Homes for the amount of $605,000 to help fund facilities projects, primarily looking at the expansion of Creekview Ranch. So with this mitigation agreement, both parties agreed to use the BOLD program, which is a benefit to the district because we get upfront cash, which helps with our cash flow to build the facilities. And it also helps the developer as they get to use the bond proceeds to pay for their fees to the district. So this is the next step in receiving those funds. And so I recommend the board approve this agreement tonight and so that they can issue the bonds and pay the district.
Sounds good. Any comments?
We have none.
Any discussion among the board? Hearing none.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve item 6.3, approval of joint community facilities agreement for some financing.
I will second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Jean. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Our next item is a 6.4, governance team professional development. That's Jason Walker.
All right, so as we just brought on our brand new superintendent, seemed like a great opportunity for us as a governing board, the executive team and the new superintendent to go into this new era, unified, working together and building a good foundation of governance so that we can continue to make this a wonderful district to attend, to work in, and to contribute to as citizens.
Let's go to public comment real quick, then we come back. No public comments?
We have none.
Okay, go ahead, Jason.
So just in summary, now's a good time for us to move forward, be cohesive, and build competencies and trust to advance our vision, build a community of learners where students are challenged to meet their full potential. As someone who's worked in education and has kids in the district, we need to lead by example, lead from the top. We expect our kids to learn, pursue learning, and be lifelong learners. Us as a board, is our opportunity to show that we are also lifelong learners, and look forward to working with my fellow board members and the executive team to build upon our expertise and competencies.
Any discussion?
Have you already found a plan or a program that you want to utilize?
Not a specific one. We can look into specific or particular vendors and agree to one in a later vote. Right now, just want to be able to move forward with that search.
Okay, Okay, so because I asked because when I read this a few times, that was part of my issue, that there was a lot of wording but not a lot of specifics. And what we're looking for is to have our board president find a program and whatnot. But this to me came across as more of a discussion item as opposed to, we're gonna be doing this, because for me, I have no information, like, what is the program that we're gonna be looking at? What is the cost of it? What will this cover? Is this compulsory? What is the time commitment? So I think this should come back more as to discuss as opposed to, just saying we're gonna negotiate a contract that we don't even have.
Well, the idea is to put the effort in motion to ask to acquire that information so we can decide on an organization to go with. We need to agree that we're gonna pursue this training, and then from there, we can select an agency to go with and establish that contract.
I don't think it's a bad idea, but I think that, again, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but you could have contacted or looked into a couple or something and given us some information on it as opposed to just saying this is something I wanna do. I mean, cause again, it's a very vague, with no plan, no program, no information. Is it gonna be different from the county governance? Is it gonna be the same? It's a very vague thing. I think it would be better to bring it back with actual information and then put it on here for discussion and a vote, because there's really no presentation. There's really not much of anything except saying, let's look for something, and we don't need to actually vote for someone to actually maybe look for a couple programs to bring before the board.
I see what you're saying, Jean. I understand the specifics. I think what I like about it is throughout the search process, we discussed the benefit of having the cohesive team training that Jason described. So I think we're all in agreement that that's something we're all interested in. It seems like
Not necessarily.
well,
I mean, it would really depend on what was brought.
1,000%, but without ironing out those details, I could say it's commonplace in leadership transitions, and it's been common across the county for superintendent processes to involve kind of a warm-up period with some facilitation for understanding each other's wiring, et cetera. I don't see this as like a prescription. I see it as an opportunity to give our new superintendent permission along with the president of the board. I don't wanna say we have to do it, but I think we're just saying, hey, this is something, I would be very much behind this and saying, I'm not sure how we start this process, but if this is the first domino, say, hey, let's investigate the cost and the process and the parameters of some type of facilitated onboarding time period. And I know that the